Okay, Jeremy here, partsbreakers.com, otherwise known as Jeeps Unlimited. Doing a frame video on a YJ frame. Gonna go over it so you can see it as if you're here in person. You can see this frame and others like it. 303, or excuse me, at it's super cold out. Partsbreakers.com, and that's partsbreakers.com. Otherwise, you can go to our old website, jeepsunlimited.net, and that will redirect you to our new site. And yeah, so phone number is 303-666-9020. Obviously, this is a beautiful frame. It's absolutely beautiful. It's probably one of the cleaner YJ frames we've had in a long time. These are starting to get super hard to get and whatnot. So I'll go over it top to bottom. I'll flip it over here in just a second so you can see it. We washed it yesterday. I didn't polish it, but the factory paint, this is all factory paint. We don't doctor them up in any way. We can do that if you want us to right before we send it. We'd be happy to throw a coat of paint on them just for the cost of materials. Otherwise, you can do that out there. But we don't do it because we want you to see how the frame was when it was pulled. So nice, clean, unwrecked Jeep. The only thing they kind of messed up, and they did that here in the yard when they were picking it up, was this rear support here. They had a big heavy-duty gas tank on it, and they were trying to get these bolts out of it, and they just back and forth with the pry bar and ended up bending that guy. So that needs to be pounded back. But the supports are good. You can see these usually rot out. I wouldn't replace this thing. You can if you want to, but it's just right this bottom lip here, and you'll definitely want to, nail that with a mallet on the back side of that, flatten that out, because that's where your fuel pump. So I'll knock off some money for that. And I just want you to be aware about it. Otherwise, this thing is cherry. So we borescope the insides of them, make sure the inside is just as clean as the outsides. This thing was just as nice on the inside as the outside. And again, this is I don't know if I mentioned this, but it's a 4-liter or a 4.2. It'll work either or, 6-cylinder. You can use it on a 2.5 4-cylinder, but you should just buy that frame because I have one of those right now too. I usually do. Otherwise, if we don't, and this is all we have, then you just remove these mounts here. They come back a couple inches, and that will work for a 4-cylinder. Otherwise, they're identical. So let me flip this guy over here. They're not very heavy. You can do this pretty easily. They only weigh a couple 100 pounds. So. All right. And then here we go here. So that number there, it's actually going to get a new SKU on it, but that is the old SKU number we put on those. This area here, really clean. That area, really clean. You get some oxidized metal in here. The main thing you want to look for is scaling or actually rot. Obviously there is none. The oxidation caused just from the paint rubbing off from the two metals, because there's no isolator, no rubber bushings or anything between the skid plate, the belly pan, and the actual frame itself. So. But super clean. You can take a wire wheel if you want to it. Otherwise, if you put on the exact same belly pan, it's going to do the same thing. So there's not much you can do about that. If you put a drop, like a belly pan drop, then that will go away because there's some bushings that go in between there. Really, the only reason to do that is if you had a lift kit or something on it. So otherwise, leaf spring mounts are good. Here's up underneath that area, and you can see just there, that's where that cross member just needs to be bent back into shape, and whatnot. That fuel tank over there, that big old boy, that was that big ass fuel tank they had in this thing. So hopefully that didn't distort the thing. So anyway, questions, comments, concerns, feel free to shoot me a message. Call me 303-666-9020, and partsbreakers.com. I appreciate your time. Thanks a lot.